Intriguingly, nestled within the folds of history lies the Book of Enoch, a fragment of the Dead Sea Scrolls, bearing testament to ancient apocalyptic visions. Its whispers echo through time, revealing insights into a figure enshrouded in mystery. Enoch, a name tethered to both Old and New Testaments, dances at the edges of official religious canons, a tantalizing enigma. To unravel the tapestry of Enoch's narrative, one must embark on a journey through the sacred texts of Christianity, where clues are scant and shadows linger. In the hushed verses of Genesis, Enoch emerges fleetingly, a son of Jared, tracing his lineage to the dawn of humanity, the third scion of Adam and Eve's progeny. Yet, Enoch's tale diverges from the mundane fabric of mortal existence, for he is cloaked in an otherworldly longevity, his years stretching to nearly 365, a testament to his ethereal nature. But the enigma deepens as Enoch's legacy extends beyond his own existence, his lineage intertwining with mythic proportions. Among his offspring stands Methuselah, a colossus of antiquity, said to have defied time itself, nearly reaching the age of a millennium. Thus, Enoch's story unfolds, a mosaic of wonder and mystery, inviting us to delve deeper into the annals of history and myth. The New Testament elaborates on the story of Enoch. The letter of the Hebrews highlights that Enoch was favored by God and taken to heaven because of his genuine faith. Its special meaning is that Enoch ascended to heaven without experiencing death. Here, the canonical biblical narrative of Enoch ends. To delve deeper into the interesting background of this character and explore his alleged mystical experiences, one must look beyond the apocryphal texts known as the Books of Enoch and the Scrolls.
From 1947 to 1956, the Dead Sea Scrolls were uncovered, an extraordinary event in the history of the Hebrew Bible. These ancient scrolls, hidden in various caves, mainly contain religious writings. Among these important archaeological discoveries was the Ethiopian Book of Enoch, which is notable for being the oldest known piece of apocalyptic literature. Scholars determined that the Book of Enoch was likely written in the 3rd century BC, which predates the famous revelation to John from the New Testament, which is dated to around 95 AD. Within the folds of history, the Ethiopian Book of Enoch stands as a testament to cultural divergence and spiritual depth. Its designation as Ethiopian arises from its preservation in the ancient language of Ethiopia, a relic safeguarded by the Ethiopian Church, a bastion of unique tradition amidst the tapestry of global Christianity and Judaism. Herein lies a conundrum. While Enoch finds sanctuary within Ethiopian faith, he remains an outsider to mainstream religious canons. What secrets lie within these pages that render them too potent for universal acceptance? Could they harbor truths that challenge not only the foundations of faith but also our very perception of reality? The veil of mystery surrounding Enoch's ascent tantalizes the curious mind. While the Bible offers mere whispers of his journey to the heavens, the Ethiopian Book of Enoch beckons with promises of revelation. It is within these hallowed texts that Enoch's celestial odyssey unfolds in vivid detail, unveiling ancient mysteries and divine truths concealed from mortal gaze. Enoch's ascent, shrouded in celestial splendor, is a spectacle of cosmic proportions. As he ascends into the embrace of heaven, divine secrets are unveiled, illuminating the path to enlightenment. Through the lens of the Ethiopian Book of Enoch, we glimpse into the heart of eternity, where the sacred and the sublime converge in a symphony of divine revelation. Yet, with revelation comes ambiguity. The enigmatic nature of Enoch's journey raises questions that transcend the boundaries of faith, challenging us to confront the unknown with open minds and seeking hearts. What divine mysteries await discovery within the ethereal realms of Enoch's ascension? Only by delving deeper into the annals of ancient wisdom can we hope to unravel the enigma that is Enoch and glimpse the profound truths that lie beyond. Amidst the ancient scrolls lies the Book of the Watchers, a tome brimming with tales of celestial rebellion and divine retribution. Here, the angel Semyaza casts his lot with other ethereal beings, descending upon the earth with nefarious intent. Their aim, to entwine themselves with mortal women, birthing offspring of monstrous stature, the infamous giants, whose presence plunges the world into disarray, igniting the wrath of the Almighty. In response to this cosmic transgression, the heavens tremble as the divine hand casts forth the fallen angels from paradise, consigning them to the fiery depths of damnation. Yet divine justice demands more: the impending deluge, a cataclysmic flood to cleanse the earth of the giant's taint. In the face of impending doom, the fallen ones plead for clemency, but their cries fall upon deaf ears, met with the stern resolve of the divine will. Enter Enoch, chosen vessel of divine decree, tasked with delivering the fateful pronouncement to the fallen angels. His mission complete, Enoch ascends once more, ushered into the celestial realms by heavenly messengers. Yet, the heavens he beholds are not a singular expanse, but a tapestry of 7 levels, each veiled in celestial splendor and inhabited by divine beings. The journey through the heavens unveils a realm beyond mortal comprehension, a cosmic hierarchy where clouds and stars adorn the first level, and the damned angels languish in anticipation of their fate on the second. Beyond lies the third heaven, a realm of paradisiacal beauty and righteous souls, juxtaposed with the fiery torments of hell in the north. Guided by celestial sentinels and angelic choirs, Enoch traverses the celestial spheres, ascending ever closer to the pinnacle of divine majesty. At last, he stands before the throne of God, where the ineffable radiance of the Almighty reigns supreme, attended by the luminous presence of archangels. Here, amidst the apex of celestial glory, Enoch glimpses the boundless expanse of divine sovereignty, a testament to the unfathomable mysteries of the heavens. Enveloped in divine revelation, Enoch emerges as a scribe of celestial wisdom, entrusted with the sacred task of transcribing the Creator's words. In a mere 30 days, he pours forth a torrent of knowledge, penning 360 books that encapsulate the mysteries of creation and the cosmos. Armed with this celestial scripture, Enoch descends once more to the earthly realm, bequeathing the sacred texts to his progeny, a legacy of enlightenment and warning. His words resonate with urgency as he implores his sons to forsake sin and heed the impending cataclysm, a flood of divine wrath poised to purge the earth of the monstrous offspring of fallen angels. Through Enoch's guidance, his great-grandson Noah is forewarned, embarking on a journey of salvation as he constructs the ark to weather the impending storm. With his earthly mission fulfilled, Enoch ascends to the heavenly abode, welcomed into the embrace of celestial paradise. Yet, the legacy of his revelations remains shrouded in controversy, casting shadows upon the pristine fabric of religious orthodoxy. The removal of the Book of Enoch from the canonical scriptures speaks to a tumultuous era of religious scrutiny and doctrinal consolidation, where the boundaries of faith were fiercely guarded against perceived heresy. In the annals of history, the exclusion of Enoch's writings from the biblical canon stands as a testament to the complex interplay of divine revelation and human interpretation. As faith and reason intertwine, the quest for truth persists, guiding seekers through the labyrinth of sacred texts and theological discourse. And amidst the tapestry of faith, the enigmatic figure of Enoch endures, a beacon of divine wisdom illuminating the path to enlightenment. The history of the Bible's formation is a testament to the meticulous efforts of early Christian scholars to safeguard the integrity of their faith. Amidst the tumult of theological debate, the canonization process in the 4th century sought to establish a cohesive body of sacred texts, free from doctrinal deviation and heretical influence. It was a meticulous process, undertaken to fortify the foundations of Christian belief against the tides of skepticism and dissent. The removal of certain books, such as Enoch, from the canon reflects the stringent criteria applied by early church authorities to ensure doctrinal harmony and authenticity. While the decision may seem arbitrary to some, it was rooted in a desire to preserve the cohesive narrative of salvation history articulated across the accepted scriptures. Critics may raise concerns about the fallibility of human judgment in this process, questioning the potential for bias or oversight. However, the remarkable consistency and coherence among the canonical books attest to the diligence of those entrusted with this sacred task. Indeed, the seamless integration of themes, motifs, and theological concepts throughout the canon bespeaks a divine orchestration that transcends human fallibility. As for the Book of Enoch, its exclusion from the canon is not merely a matter of doctrinal incongruity, but also raises questions about its authenticity and provenance. The absence of ancient translations and the lack of attestation from early Christian communities cast doubt on its origins and credibility. While fragments in Aramaic hint at its antiquity, the absence of widespread recognition or endorsement among first-century Christians raises skepticism regarding its status as scripture. In the realm of theological inquiry, the Book of Enoch remains a fascinating enigma, offering insights into ancient Jewish and Christian traditions. However, its exclusion from the biblical canon underscores the rigorous standards applied by early church authorities to safeguard the integrity of the faith. Ultimately, the canonization process stands as a testament to the enduring vigilance of the Christian community in preserving the sacred deposit of divine revelation. The theory positing the Book of Enoch's removal from the Bible as part of a global conspiracy to suppress its purported revelations of ancient alien encounters is certainly an intriguing one. It dovetails with the burgeoning fascination with pre-astronautics, a field of inquiry exploring the possibility of extraterrestrial visitations in antiquity. This alternative interpretation of Enoch's writings offers a radical departure from traditional religious understandings, recasting biblical figures and events within the framework of interstellar contact. In this paradigm, the celestial beings described in Enoch's narrative are not divine emissaries, but extraterrestrial entities, their arrival on Earth interpreted as a series of alien abductions rather than divine interventions. The figure traditionally understood as God is reconceptualized as the leader of these extraterrestrial visitors, reshaping the narrative of Enoch's ascension as a classic case of alien abduction rather than a divine revelation. Such a reinterpretation raises intriguing questions about the nature of religious texts and the fluidity of interpretation. By reframing biblical narratives through the lens of pre-astronautics, proponents of this theory challenge conventional religious dogma and invite speculation about humanity's place in the cosmos. Moreover, the theory suggests a continued interest and observation by these extraterrestrial intelligences, with some proponents speculating on the possibility of future contact or intervention in human affairs. The perceived urgency of this intervention is often linked to contemporary concerns about humanity's technological prowess and the potential for self-destruction, a narrative that echoes themes of apocalyptic prophecy found in both religious and secular contexts. While the theory of ancient alien encounters embedded within the Book of Enoch remains speculative, It underscores the enduring allure of mystery and the human impulse to seek understanding in the unknown. Whether viewed through the lens of religious faith or extraterrestrial inquiry, the story of Enoch continues to captivate imaginations and provoke thought-provoking speculation about the nature of our existence and our place in the universe. Babylon, a name steeped in the annals of ancient history, conjures images of grandeur and majesty, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. Yet, beneath its veneer of splendor lies a narrative of rise and fall, a saga of triumph and tragedy that has captivated the imaginations of scholars and storytellers for millennia. At its zenith, Babylon stood as the jewel in the crown of the Babylonian Empire, its towering ziggurats and bustling streets testament to its status as a thriving metropolis. Its origins shrouded in the mists of time, Babylon first emerges in the historical record during the reign of Sargon of Akkad, its name inscribed on clay tablets dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE. Situated along the fertile banks of the Euphrates River, Babylon flourished as a center of commerce, culture, and conquest, its influence stretching across the ancient Near East. The city's prosperity reached its apex during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, who transformed Babylon into a cosmopolitan capital adorned with architectural marvels such as the Hanging Gardens, counted among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Under Nebuchadnezzar's rule, Babylon reached unprecedented heights of power and prestige, its population swelling to over 200,000 souls, a staggering figure by ancient standards. However, Babylon's golden age was not to last. The city's fate was inexorably tied to the ebb and flow of imperial ambition and geopolitical strife. As rival powers vied for supremacy in the region, Babylon became a prize coveted by conquerors and kings. In 539 BCE, the city fell to the Persian king Cyrus the Great, marking the end of Babylon's independence and the dawn of a new era of foreign rule. Over the centuries that followed, Babylon's fortunes waned as successive empires rose and fell, its once mighty walls crumbling beneath the weight of time and conquest. By the time of the Islamic conquests in the 7th century CE, Babylon had faded into obscurity, its name invoked in tales of bygone glory. Today, the remnants of Babylon stand as silent sentinels of a bygone era, their weathered stones bearing witness to the passage of millennia. Despite the ravages of time and the vicissitudes of history, Babylon's legacy endures, a testament to the enduring power of human ambition and the inexorable march of time. As visitors wander among its ruins, they are reminded of the transient nature of empires and the eternal allure of the past, beckoning them to glimpse the echoes of greatness that once resounded within these ancient walls. Babylon's ascent from humble beginnings to cosmopolitan grandeur is a saga woven with threads of ambition, conquest, and cultural innovation. As the Greek historian Herodotus beheld the city's splendor, he marveled at its magnificence, declaring it unlike any other in the known world. Yet, the seeds of Babylon's greatness were sown long before Herodotus's time, in the dawn of the 3rd millennium BCE. It was under the reign of King Hammurabi, the 6th ruler of the first Babylonian dynasty, that Babylon experienced its first true heyday. Hammurabi's vision and ambition propelled the city to new heights of power and influence, transforming it from a modest town into a formidable metropolis. His reign, spanning from 1792 to 1750 BCE, was marked by a relentless pursuit of expansion and prosperity. Hammurabi's conquests not only extended Babylon's dominion over vast swathes of Mesopotamia, but also brought about significant advancements in governance, agriculture, and architecture. Monuments such as imposing temples dedicated to the gods stood as testament to the king's ambition and the city's growing prominence on the world stage. Yet, Hammurabi's legacy transcended mere conquest. Beneath the veneer of imperial ambition lay a commitment to the welfare of his subjects, as evidenced by his efforts to improve their lives in every conceivable aspect. Babylon, under Hammurabi's rule, emerged as the vibrant heart of a mighty empire, its influence reaching across the ancient Near East. However, the tide of history is fickle, and Babylon's zenith was destined to be fleeting. In the wake of Hammurabi's passing, the city's political landscape grew increasingly tumultuous as foreign rulers, including the Hittites, Kassites, and Assyrians, vied for control of the region. Despite the vicissitudes of fortune, Babylon's legacy endured, its memory enshrined in the annals of history as a testament to the indomitable spirit of human ambition and the enduring allure of ancient civilizations. The tumultuous aftermath of Ashurbanipal's reign marked a turning point in the annals of Mesopotamian history, as the Neo-Assyrian Empire descended into a maelstrom of internal strife and external threats. Amidst the chaos, ambitious leaders like Neopalazar seized the opportunity to assert their dominance, forging alliances and plotting their ascent to power. Neopalazar's cunning maneuvering culminated in the overthrow of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, paving the way for his own coronation as the first king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire in 605 BCE. For his successor, Nebuchadnezzar II, inheriting the mantle of kingship meant shouldering the weight of his father's legacy and steering Babylonia towards its rightful place at the zenith of ancient society. Under Nebuchadnezzar II's reign, the Neo-Babylonian Empire extended its dominion over vast swaths of the ancient Near East, including Assyria, Asia Minor, Northern Arabia, Israel, and Phoenicia. Nebuchadnezzar's ambitious projects and military campaigns left an indelible mark on history, cementing his legacy as one of Mesopotamia's most formidable rulers. Among Nebuchadnezzar II's enduring legacies are the expulsion of the Jews from Babylon, the conquest of Jerusalem, and the construction of monumental edifices within the thriving capital of Babylon. The Ishtar Gate, adorned with stunning glazed bricks depicting mythical beasts, and the fabled Hanging Gardens of Babylon, said to be a verdant paradise suspended in the air, stand as testaments to the king's grand vision and architectural prowess. However, the attribution of the Hanging Gardens to Nebuchadnezzar II remains a subject of scholarly debate, with some experts questioning the historical accuracy of this attribution. Nevertheless, the splendor of Nebuchadnezzar's reign endures in the annals of history, a testament to the enduring legacy of Babylon and the indomitable spirit of its rulers. The tale of the Tower of Babel stands as one of the most enduring and enigmatic narratives in the Old Testament, its significance reverberating through the corridors of theological discourse and historical inquiry. At its heart lies a cautionary tale of human hubris and divine retribution, a story that transcends its biblical origins to resonate across cultures and civilizations. According to biblical tradition, the Tower of Babel was conceived as a monument to human ambition, a towering edifice intended to rival the heavens themselves. It symbolized mankind's audacious attempt to transcend earthly limitations and assert its autonomy from divine authority. In the eyes of God, however, this act of defiance was met with divine displeasure, leading to a dramatic intervention that would forever alter the course of human history. As the biblical narrative recounts, God intervened by confounding the languages of the builders, plunging them into a state of linguistic chaos and rendering their collective endeavor futile. This act of divine intervention, often interpreted as a form of divine punishment, resulted in the dispersion of humanity across the globe, laying the groundwork for the diversity of languages and cultures that characterize the world today. From a theological perspective, the Tower of Babel serves as a cautionary tale against the perils of human pride and arrogance, reminding believers of the consequences of straying from divine guidance. It underscores the importance of humility and obedience in the face of divine authority, urging humanity to heed the lessons of the past and embrace a spirit of reverence and submission before God. Yet, beyond its theological implications, the story of the Tower of Babel resonates with universal themes of ambition, defiance, and the search for meaning in the human experience. Across cultures and civilizations, it serves as a potent symbol of the enduring struggle between the aspirations of humanity and the limits imposed by the divine order, a narrative that continues to captivate the imagination and inspire reflection on the nature of human existence. According to the story from the Old Testament, some scholars believe that the biblical tale corresponds to what is known as a tani, a type of ziggurat or stepped temple tower, the remnants of which were discovered in the early 20th century. The narrative explains that God caused each builder of the tower to suddenly speak a different language, leading to a breakdown in communication among them. This disruption made it impossible for the workers to continue their project. Following this event, the workers, along with their families who presumably spoke the same language, dispersed across the globe, spreading their languages among the indigenous populations. The Bible suggests that this is the origin of the world's diverse languages. Over time, these languages evolved and diversified into the multitude of languages spoken worldwide today. This event marks the inception of linguistic diversity, setting the stage for the emergence of many new languages in subsequent years. The decline of the Neo-Babylonian Empire following the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II marked a tumultuous period of instability and uncertainty, culminating in the reign of the last king, Nabonidus. Unlike his illustrious predecessor, Nabonidus struggled to maintain control over his fractious empire, his rule marked by political intrigue, religious upheaval, and prolonged absences from the capital. Nabonidus, of Assyrian descent, sought to revive ancient traditions and restore the cultural heritage of Assyria, the empire vanquished by Babylonian conquest. His ambitious architectural and cultural projects, aimed at revitalizing the empire's legacy, earned him the epithet of the archaeologist king. However, his endeavors met with resistance from the populace, particularly the powerful priesthood of Marduk, the patron deity of Babylon. The king's decision to elevate the worship of the moon god Sin over that of Marduk further alienated his subjects, exacerbating tensions within the empire. Moreover, Nabonidus's frequent and prolonged absences from the capital only served to deepen the sense of instability and uncertainty among the populace. Speculation abounded regarding the reasons for his extended departures, with theories ranging from scholarly pursuits to illness to mental instability. Whatever the true cause, Nabonidus's prolonged absences left a power vacuum in the capital, allowing discontent to fester and chaos to reign unchecked. Without effective leadership, the city descended into turmoil as the populace grappled with the absence of a guiding hand to steer them through the challenges of daily life. In the end, Nabonidus's unpopularity and the unrest that characterized his reign contributed to the decline and eventual fall of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. His legacy, overshadowed by political intrigue and religious discord, serves as a cautionary tale of the perils of ineffective leadership and the fragile nature of imperial power. The fall of Babylon marked the end of an era for the Neo-Babylonian Empire, as the ascendant Persian Empire, under the leadership of Cyrus II, emerged as the dominant power in the region. The conquest of Babylon by the Persians in 549 BCE dealt a decisive blow to Babylonia's sovereignty and ushered in a new chapter in the region's history. The precise circumstances surrounding Babylon's fall remain shrouded in ambiguity, with conflicting accounts offered by ancient historians such as Herodotus and Xenophon. While some sources describe Babylon succumbing to a prolonged siege, others suggest that the city capitulated to the superior forces of the Persians without significant resistance. Regardless of the manner of its conquest, Babylon's fall marked the beginning of a period of profound transformation for the region. Babylonia was incorporated into the vast Persian Empire as a strategically important province. Its cultural and administrative landscape reshaped under Persian rule. Under Persian dominion, Aramaic was designated as the official language of administration, supplanting Akkadian, though the latter continued to be used by scholars and scribes. The return of the Jews to their homeland, following their expulsion by Nebuchadnezzar II, represented a significant development, signaling a degree of religious and cultural tolerance under Persian rule. The incorporation of Babylonia into the Persian Empire brought about significant changes in governance, language, and cultural practices, laying the foundation for a new era in the region's history. As Babylon faded from prominence, its legacy endured in the annals of history, a testament to the ebb and flow of imperial power and the enduring resilience of ancient civilizations. The Old Testament account of Nebuchadnezzar II's dream, as interpreted by the prophet Daniel, serves as a poignant allegory for the rise and fall of empires throughout history. The image of the statue, representing successive kingdoms, foretells the inevitable demise of Babylon and its eventual replacement by subsequent powers ordained by God. Following the fall of Babylon to the Persians, the region underwent a period of cultural and scientific flourishing, serving as a hub for diverse scholars and researchers from around the world. The contributions of Babylonian astronomers, who calculated the solar year and created the first horoscope in history, underscore the intellectual vibrancy of the era. The subsequent conquest of Babylonia by Alexander the Great and the Hellenistic period that followed witnessed the fusion of Greek and Babylonian cultural traditions, enriching the cultural tapestry of the region. However, the death of Alexander and the subsequent power struggles among his successors plunged the region into turmoil, leading to raids and devastation. The eventual ascendancy of the Parthians marked the end of Babylon's historical trajectory as a center of power and influence. The city, once a symbol of grandeur and splendor, faded into obscurity, its legacy preserved in the annals of history. In the New Testament, the concept of the Antichrist is associated with eschatological beliefs about the end times. While the term Antichrist is sparingly used in the epistles of John, it has become a focal point of Christian theology regarding the prophesied figure who will challenge the teachings of Jesus Christ and deceive believers. Overall, the historical trajectory of Babylon, from its rise to prominence to its eventual decline, offers a rich tapestry of cultural, political, and religious significance, reflecting the cyclical nature of human history and the enduring legacy of ancient civilizations. The concept of the Antichrist, while primarily associated with the letters of John in the New Testament, finds resonance in the teachings of Jesus as well. In the Gospels, Jesus warns his disciples about false prophets and false messiahs who will arise to deceive believers. These false teachers, claiming divine authority, will perform signs and wonders to mislead the faithful. While the term Antichrist may not be explicitly mentioned in the Gospels, the idea of individuals or groups opposing Christ's teachings and spreading falsehoods aligns with the broader theological understanding of the Antichrist. These adversaries, driven by nefarious motives, seek to undermine the truth of Jesus' identity as the Son of God. The portrayal of the Antichrist varies within Christian theology, with interpretations ranging from a singular demonic figure to a collective representation of false prophets and teachings. The emergence of many antichrists, as mentioned in the first letter of John, suggests a proliferation of falsehoods and challenges to the Christian faith in the last hour. In the apocalyptic imagery of the Book of Revelation, attributed to John, the end times are depicted in vivid and dramatic detail. The opening of the 7 seals unleashes catastrophic events, symbolizing the upheaval and chaos that will precede the final judgment. The imagery of the apocalypse serves as a powerful reminder of the ultimate triumph of good over evil and the promise of redemption for believers. While interpretations of the Antichrist and the end times may vary among Christian denominations, the overarching message remains one of vigilance, faithfulness, and hope in the face of adversity. As believers navigate the complexities of the world, they are called to remain steadfast in their commitment to Christ and to discern truth from deception. The vivid imagery of the Book of Revelation paints a dramatic picture of the final battle between good and evil, culminating in the defeat of Satan, the Antichrist, and their followers by the forces of God. The unfolding events, from the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse to the blowing of the 7 trumpets, symbolize divine judgment and the impending cataclysmic events that will precede the end times. The figures of the dragon, identified with Satan, and the second beast, often associated with the Antichrist, represent the embodiment of evil forces that seek to deceive and lead humanity astray from the path of righteousness. The symbolism of 66, known as the number of the beast, carries deep significance, often interpreted as a mark of Satanism and deception. In the eschatological narrative of Revelation, the ultimate victory belongs to God and His faithful followers, who overcome the forces of darkness and usher in a new era of divine justice and redemption. The final judgment, where each individual is held accountable for their deeds, underscores the importance of moral accountability and spiritual discernment. Throughout Christian history, the figure of the Antichrist has captured the imagination of believers, serving as a symbolic representation of the enduring struggle between good and evil. While interpretations of the Antichrist may vary, the underlying message remains one of faithfulness to God and vigilance against deception and false teachings. As Christians reflect on the trail of the Antichrist over the centuries, they are reminded of the enduring power of faith and the promise of salvation in the face of adversity. In the grand narrative of redemption, the defeat of the Antichrist paves the way for the establishment of God's kingdom on earth and the fulfillment of divine prophecy. The concept of the Antichrist has been a subject of fascination and speculation throughout history, with various figures and events being interpreted as manifestations of this apocalyptic figure. From Roman emperors to Islamic conquerors, and even to the medieval period, people have sought to identify the Antichrist in their contemporary world. In the Middle Ages, the fear of the Antichrist was so pervasive that scholars were commissioned to create detailed portraits of this false prophet. Adso, a theologian tasked by Queen Gerberga, envisioned the Antichrist as a figure descended from the devil himself, raised by dark forces and claiming divine authority. According to Adso, the Antichrist would deceive countless Christians with his false teachings, leading to widespread chaos and destruction. However, the ultimate defeat of the Antichrist would come with the intervention of Jesus, or the Archangel Michael, bringing an end to his reign of terror. These interpretations reflect the enduring significance of the Antichrist in Christian eschatology, serving as a symbolic representation of ultimate evil and the perennial struggle between good and evil. As people grapple with the complexities of their times, the figure of the Antichrist continues to capture the imagination, reminding believers to remain vigilant and steadfast in their faith amidst the challenges of the world. The concept of the Antichrist has indeed been applied to various individuals and groups throughout history, serving as a symbolic representation of opposition to Christ and his teachings. In medieval times, it was common to use the label of Antichrist as a political tool to vilify one's adversaries. This was evident in the conflicts between different factions within the church, where each side would accuse the other of being in league with the devil. However, it's important to recognize that the idea of the Antichrist is not limited to a single individual, but can encompass a broader notion of those who oppose Christ's message. This interpretation aligns with the biblical texts, which portray the Antichrist as a symbol of spiritual deception and apostasy rather than a specific person. Indeed, the word Antichrist itself suggests opposition to Christ, implying that anyone who rejects or opposes Christ's teachings could be considered an Antichrist in a symbolic sense. This broader understanding allows for a more nuanced interpretation of the concept, recognizing that the struggle between good and evil extends beyond individual figures to encompass larger ideological conflicts and spiritual battles. Nestled within the ancient texts of 1 John chapter 4, a stark warning echoes through the ages. Beloved, beware not just of shadows, but of the spirits themselves. Question their allegiance, for not all are emissaries of the divine. Countless false prophets have weaved their way into the fabric of our reality. To discern the true Spirit of God, know this: any spirit that recognizes Jesus Christ, who walked among us in the flesh, is aligned with the divine. Conversely, any spirit that denies him heralds from darker realms. This scripture not only speaks of the deceptive allure of false prophets, but aligns them with the Antichrist, a concept not confined to a single form, but an omnipresent spirit, elusive and manifold, twisting through human history, often unrecognized, always sinister. This spirit, contrary to the divine, emerges from the depths, an infernal echo of the devil's will. Chillingly, the scripture confirms an unsettling truth. The spirit of the Antichrist, forewarned to be approaching, already permeates our world. This revelation casts a shadow over our understanding of history and the present, hinting that the Antichrist has woven itself into the very tapestry of human affairs. This entity, synonymous with deception and betrayal, has appeared in many guises throughout history. In the tumultuous era of the 1520s, Martin Luther branded the entire papacy as the embodiment of the Antichrist, a belief he held till his dying breath in 1546. As we navigate the twists of time, the figure of the Antichrist remains a constant, morphing with the ages yet ever present. Now, let us turn back the pages to the dawn of the 20th century, where yet another chapter in the saga of deceit and revelation awaits. The Antichrist, a specter in the guise of National Socialism among others, continues to challenge the discerning and the faithful across epochs. Each era brings its own encounters with this malevolent spirit, often without the clear sight to recognize it. It is well documented that the brutal clashes of the First World War, which spanned from 1914 to 1918, marked a terrifying leap in technological warfare and mass slaughter. Yet, amidst this modern carnage, an ancient motif persisted as each side vilified their opponents, branding them descendants of the devil. With the war's conclusion, this dark imagery found a sinister rebirth in anti-Semitic propaganda. The Nazis infamously cast the Jewish people as the embodiment of ultimate evil, an evil that must be eradicated at any cost. Their heinous ideology claimed that Jews aimed to dominate the world through deceit and conspiracy, equating the extermination of this so-called diabolic force with the salvation of the Aryan race. This horrifying worldview was propagated through various channels, deeply ingrained by none other than Adolf Hitler, who chillingly noted in his diaries that the Jew is probably the Antichrist of world history. Contrastingly, the opponents of the Nazi regime painted a vastly different picture. Many within the Nazi ranks saw themselves as divine warriors and saviors, yet globally, they were often identified as manifestations of the Antichrist, with Hitler epitomizing this demonic figure. In 1941, preacher Arnold Kuster highlighted 7 characteristics of the Antichrist that eerily aligned with Hitler's persona. The White Rose, a courageous resistance group, further echoed this sentiment in their leaflets, denouncing Hitler as a harbinger of the Antichrist. In contemporary America, the fear of the Antichrist is not merely a relic of the past, but a vivid part of current discourse, largely amplified by the American media and charismatic preachers. These voices warn that the Antichrist's arrival is near, or perhaps that his spirit already permeates our modern world, subtly influencing political and social spheres. They point to the erosion of national borders, the rise of surveillance, cashless economies, and data-driven societies as precursors to a global government under the Antichrist. In a dystopian vision of the future, they fear the widespread implementation of microchips capable of controlling human thoughts. Technologies that, in their eyes, could pave the way for a sinister New World Order. These modern iterations of the Antichrist narrative intertwine with the threads of contemporary conspiracy theories, painting a chilling portrait of a world on the precipice of profound and possibly perilous transformation. Although the concept of microchips capable of manipulating our brains might sound like something out of a sci-fi novel, the reality is that such technology is actively being developed. While the intentions behind this development may vary, it's inevitable that some individuals will seek to exploit it for their own sinister purposes. Currently, these brain implant chips are primarily intended to address neurological disorders, but there's a valid concern that they could be used to influence thoughts and behavior beyond medical necessity. In this ever-evolving world, the potential ramifications are boundless. Regardless of our interest in art, most of us are familiar with Leonardo da Vinci's iconic painting, The Last Supper. While Jesus Christ's story is widely known, the fate of his 12 apostles remains a mystery to many. Who were these individuals, and what tragic ends did they meet? Before diving into the dramatic and often tragic destinies of the 12 apostles, let's clarify a key term that frequently appears in Christian discourse: apostle. In Christian tradition, apostles are often seen as Jesus' closest companions, handpicked by the Savior himself to spread his teachings across the world. But what exactly does the term apostle signify, and how is it used in biblical texts? The usage of apostle in the New Testament is intriguingly inconsistent. While Paul's letters, the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles, refer to apostles a combined total of 58 times, the Gospel of Mark mentions them only once. This discrepancy points to variations in the emphasis different texts place on the role of apostles. Additionally, the identities of these apostles aren't uniformly presented across the Gospels. For instance, the Gospel of Luke lists Judas, son of James, instead of simply Judas, and Nathanael, mentioned in the Gospel of John, does not appear in other Gospels. The commonly recognized roster of the 12 apostles typically includes Simon Peter, his brother Andrew, James the Elder, John, whom Jesus especially loved, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, James, son of Alphaeus, Judas Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot. From a historical perspective, there's ongoing debate about whether Jesus actually established a formal group of 12 apostles as his chief messengers of faith. This discussion underscores the complexity of historical and religious interpretation and the gaps in our understanding of ancient religious movements. It's also important to distinguish between the terms apostle and disciple as used in the New Testament. Disciples refers to a broader group of followers who accompanied Jesus during his earthly ministry. Unlike the more narrowly defined circle of apostles, this group included potentially thousands of followers, both men and women. Prominent female followers included Mary Magdalene, Martha of Bethany, and the Sisters of Lazarus, highlighting the inclusive nature of Jesus' ministry. Following Jesus' resurrection, it is said that he tasked all his disciples, not just the apostles, with the mission to spread his teachings, a commission that broadened the scope of early Christian evangelism. Understanding these nuances helps us appreciate the layers and the diversity within the early Christian community, and it sets the stage for exploring the profound and often perilous journeys undertaken by the apostles as they carried their message into a world that was frequently hostile to their mission. The historical records and traditional accounts concerning the lives and ultimate fates of the apostles are often fragmented and shrouded in mystery. This is particularly true for James, the greater Peter, and Matthew, whose lives after the events documented in the canonical scriptures vary considerably in different sources. James the Greater. James, known as the Greater to distinguish him from another apostle, also named James, met an early and violent death, which is one of the few apostolic martyrdoms recorded in the New Testament. According to Acts 12:1-2, King Herod laid violent hands on some who belonged to the church. He had James, the brother of John, killed with the sword. This passage reflects the perilous environment in which the apostles operated, facing persecution from both religious and political authorities. Peter's story, conversely, extends beyond his scriptural appearances, with more detailed accounts found in apocryphal texts, such as the Acts of Peter. Traditionally, it is believed that Peter met his martyrdom in Rome under Emperor Nero's regime. Opting for a death that mirrored his humble submission to Christ, Peter is said to have requested to be crucified upside down, a request that was gruesomely honored. This act of martyrdom underscored his unwavering faith and humility, marking a poignant moment in Christian lore. Matthew. The fate of Matthew, the apostle and tax collector turned evangelist, is perhaps the most uncertain. Early Christian traditions present conflicting reports about his death. Some, like the account in Hippias's letter, suggest he died peacefully in Parthia. Other traditions argue he suffered martyrdom by burning, beheading, or stabbing in Ethiopia, Mesopotamia, or Persia. His alleged relics were transported to Salerno, Italy, in the 11th century, though historical evidence supporting the exact details of his relics' journey is sparse. Matthew's contribution to Christian texts, particularly the Gospel of Matthew, has been historically significant, though modern scholarship casts doubt on his authorship of the gospel that bears his name. Instead, it suggests the text was likely written by an anonymous author well-versed in Jewish law and tradition. The apostles' stories, woven through biblical and extra-biblical writings, highlight the complex interplay of history, tradition, and faith in early Christianity. Their diverse and often tragic ends not only illustrate the dangers faced by early Christians, but also the profound impact of their missionary work, which helped lay the foundations of Christianity across diverse geographic and cultural landscapes. Andrew, known for his crucifixion on an X-shaped cross, exemplifies the unique and intense persecution faced by the apostles. Opting not to be crucified in the same manner as Jesus, he endured a prolonged and agonizing death, which led to the X-shaped cross being named the St. Andrew's Cross. This form of crucifixion became not only a symbol of his suffering, but also a revered emblem in early Christian iconography. James, son of Alphaeus. Much about James, son of Alphaeus, remains a mystery, with sparse biblical mentions and conflicting accounts of his death. While some traditions state he was stoned, others suggest he was killed by crucifixion or with a club. Recent investigations cast doubt on the authenticity of relics attributed to him, adding another layer of mystery to his story. John, often described as the beloved disciple, is traditionally believed to have died a natural death, an anomaly among the apostles. Despite enduring severe torture, such as being submerged in boiling oil, he miraculously survived and spent his final days in exile on the island of Patmos. His resilience and peaceful end contrast sharply with the fates of his fellow apostles. Philip's death is recounted with varying narratives, ranging from peaceful demise to violent martyrdom. The Acts of Philip describe a gruesome end where he was tortured and crucified upside down, showcasing the extreme brutality faced by the apostles as they spread their teachings. Bartholomew's martyrdom is depicted with particularly vivid brutality in different traditions, including being flayed alive, beheaded, or crucified. His enduring faith in the face of such torment is a testament to the strength of the apostolic mission. Simon the Zealot. Simon the Zealot's longevity is notable, with some accounts suggesting he lived to the age of 120. Despite his advanced age, he met a violent end by crucifixion, according to some traditions, while others suggest different modes of martyrdom. Judas Thaddeus's death also varies in accounts, ranging from peaceful death to violent martyrdom by sword, stoning, or beating. These differing reports highlight the often ambiguous and fragmentary historical record of the apostles' lives. Thomas is famously associated with his missionary work in India, where he met his death by spearing, as vividly described in the Acts of Thomas. His martyrdom is a poignant closure to his story of doubt, followed by profound faith. Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot remains one of the most controversial figures in Christian history, known for his betrayal of Jesus. His death is depicted with grim details in the scriptures, illustrating his deep remorse and tragic end. These accounts, while varied and often conflicting, underscore the perilous paths the apostles walked as they spread the teachings of Christianity across the world. Their stories of faith, endurance, and martyrdom continue to inspire and resonate within the Christian tradition, illustrating their pivotal roles in the foundation and spread of early Christianity. The Shroud of Turin is one of the most captivating and contentious relics in Christian history, steeped in mystery and debate. Often considered by some as the burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth, the shroud is an enigmatic piece of linen that purportedly shows the imprint of a man's body, front and back, who bears physical traits consistent with depictions of Christ. Discovery and historical context. First documented around the 14th century, the shroud was brought to public attention when it was displayed in Lyre, France, by a French knight. Its origins before this period remain obscure, sparking centuries of speculation and intrigue. It became more widely known after being moved to Turin, Italy in 1578, where it has remained ever since. Physical description. The cloth itself measures approximately 4.4 by 1.1 meters, 14.5 by 3.5 feet, and displays a faint brownish image of a naked man with markings that correspond to wounds that would align with crucifixion, such as nail wounds to the wrists and feet, a side wound thought to be from a spear, and various abrasions which align with the biblical description of Jesus' suffering. Scientific analysis and controversy. The authenticity of the Shroud of Turin has been rigorously tested with modern scientific techniques, leading to conflicting interpretations. In the 1970s, initial examinations suggested that the cloth's weave and sewing techniques were consistent with ancient textiles from the 1st century, aligning with those that might have been used in the biblical region of Judea. However, the most significant challenge to the shroud's authenticity came with radiocarbon dating tests conducted in 1988. These tests, performed by 3 independent laboratories, dated the cloth to the period between 1260 and 1390 AD, suggesting it was not old enough to have been the burial cloth of Jesus. This conclusion was supported by the detection of pigments and paint on the shroud, indicating that at least some elements of the image could be artistic rather than genuine bloodstains. Cultural impact. Despite scientific skepticism, the Shroud of Turin continues to hold a significant place in Christian devotion and is revered by many as a holy relic. It attracts thousands of pilgrims and curious visitors, especially during rare public exhibitions. For believers, the shroud is seen not only as a tangible link to Jesus, but also as a symbol of his suffering and resurrection. Conclusion. The debate over the Shroud of Turin encapsulates a broader dialogue between faith and science. While the scientific community may lean towards skepticism about its authenticity, the shroud remains a powerful object of veneration and a focal point for discussion and investigation. Its origin, method of image formation, and history continue to provoke fascination and awe, making it a unique artifact in the study of religion, history, and science. Whether as a medieval artwork or a genuine burial cloth, the Shroud of Turin's mystery continues to inspire and challenge the curious across the world. Dead Sea Scrolls. Between 1947 and 1956, fragments of scrolls were discovered in a cave system in the West Bank, totaling 850 scrolls known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Predominantly dating back to biblical times, these scrolls contain historical and narrative content pertaining to biblical events. While most are in Hebrew, some are in Greek and Aramaic, dating between 250 BC and 70 AD. Interestingly, certain scrolls reference religions beyond Christianity. Despite minor textual variations, the overarching narratives align with modern Bibles, highlighting potential editorial influences throughout history. This underscores the need for critical examination, particularly of widely used translations like the King James Version. The significance lies in affirming long-standing biblical accounts while also cautioning against potential biases in historical interpretations. The story of Noah's flood, one of the most compelling narratives in the Bible, has intrigued theologians, historians, and scientists for centuries. This tale of divine judgment and redemption through Noah's obedience captures both the imagination and the spirit of inquiry, blending myth, history, and symbolism into a rich tapestry of interpretation. The biblical account of the flood. In Genesis, the story outlines that God, dismayed by the wickedness of humanity, decides to cleanse the earth with a deluge. Noah is chosen due to his righteousness and instructed to build an ark that would house his family and representatives of all living creatures to preserve life through the flood. According to the scriptures, for 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. Genesis 7:17. The narrative not only speaks to the themes of destruction and rebirth, but also sets a foundational myth for many cultures regarding divine justice and human responsibility. Historical and scientific perspectives. While traditionally viewed as a symbolic story, recent decades have seen a surge in attempts to find a historical basis for the flood. Geologists and archaeologists have proposed that great floods did occur in ancient times, possibly influenced by rising sea levels or catastrophic events such as the bursting of glacial lakes. For example, the Black Sea deluge hypothesis suggests that a massive flooding of the Black Sea by Mediterranean waters might have been a basis for the flood myths found in several cultures, including the biblical narrative. The mystical elements, Temple of Edfu and the Seven Wise Men. The Temple of Edfu, with its ancient inscriptions and mythical references, provides a fascinating glimpse into how other ancient civilizations understood the cosmos and divine interventions. The temple's texts, which may date as far back as between 237 and 57 BC, contain allusions to cosmic beginnings and divine wisdom. These inscriptions offer insights into the Egyptian understanding of world cycles, including potential allegories to natural disasters like floods. The reference to the seven wise men in various ancient texts, including those found in the Temple of Edfu, is intriguing. In Egyptian lore, these figures often appear as demigods or sage architects who possessed profound knowledge of the divine laws and cosmic order, tasked with guiding civilization through transitions or cataclysms. This motif of a small group preserving sacred knowledge and aiding in civilization's rebirth post-catastrophe mirrors the biblical story of Noah and his family rebuilding human society. The connection to pyramids and Thoth. The linkage of the seven wise men to the construction of the pyramids and their association with Thoth, the Egyptian deity of wisdom and the moon, deepens the mythic resonances of these tales. Thoth, as a mediator between the divine and the mortal, and a record keeper of the universe, symbolizes the transmission of sacred knowledge, much like Noah's role in preserving life and moral law through the flood. Conclusion. The story of Noah's flood, while rooted in biblical tradition, resonates across various cultures and disciplines. Whether viewed through the lens of faith, history, or myth, it continues to evoke a sense of awe and reflection on the forces of nature and the resilience of life. As we explore connections like those suggested by the Temple of Edfu and the legends of the seven wise men, the narrative expands into a broader discussion of how ancient peoples interpreted their world and their place within it, often framing their understanding in terms of cycles of destruction and renewal overseen by figures of great wisdom and power. The story of Noah's flood, while unique in its details and significance within the biblical canon, is part of a larger tapestry of flood myths that span cultures and epochs, illustrating a common motif in human storytelling and possibly reflecting collective memories of real events. These narratives, found in a range of ancient civilizations, from the Mesopotamians to the Greeks, suggest a shared human experience that transcends individual cultural boundaries. The Gilgamesh Flood. One of the most striking parallels to the biblical flood story is found in the Epic of Gilgamesh, a cornerstone of ancient Mesopotamian literature. Discovered by Austin Henry Layard in the mid-19th century among 25,000 clay tablets in Assyria, The epic's flood narrative came to light significantly later, deciphered by George Smith in 1872. This story involves the hero Gilgamesh, who meets Utanapishti, also known as Utnapishtim, a character very similar to the biblical Noah. Utanapishti relates how he built a ship, saved his family and animals from a catastrophic flood, and was subsequently granted immortality by the gods, a story bearing remarkable similarities to Genesis. The Ark of Ziusudra. Another ancient version of the flood myth is found in the tale of Ziusudra, known from Sumerian mythology. This narrative predates the Gilgamesh epic and introduces Ziusudra, who, like Noah and Utanapishti, is forewarned by a god, in this case Enki, about an impending deluge meant to destroy mankind. Instructed to build a large boat from his dismantled home, Ziusudra faithfully complies without alerting his fellow humans to their fate. After surviving the flood, Ziusudra, like his mythological counterparts, is rewarded by the gods and granted a place among them, highlighting themes of obedience, divine judgment, and redemption. Cultural and historical significance. The recurrence of flood myths in various ancient cultures may point to historical events that left a significant impact on human memory, perhaps massive local floods or a significant rise in sea levels. These stories may have been used to explain such cataclysmic events and to instill moral lessons about divine justice and human hubris. Moreover, the similarities across these tales, particularly those involving a chosen survivor, a divine warning to build an ark, and the subsequent renewal of life on Earth, suggest not only possible cultural exchanges, but also a profound existential question that these narratives wrestle with. How does humanity cope with the potential for sudden, world-altering catastrophes? Conclusion. The exploration of flood myths like those of Gilgamesh, Noah, and Ziusudra not only enriches our understanding of ancient literature and religion, but also offers insights into how humans across the globe have made sense of natural disasters through storytelling. These myths, while rooted in their respective cultural contexts, reflect universal concerns about human morality, divine intent, and the fragile supremacy of human civilization in the face of nature's overwhelming power. The widespread presence of flood narratives across diverse cultures and continents hints at a deeply rooted human fascination with cataclysms, particularly floods, that may have shaped our ancestors' environments and their stories. This global storytelling phenomenon raises significant questions about the origins of these myths and the events that might have inspired them. Universal themes in global flood myths. Flood myths are pervasive in human culture, spanning from the Epic of Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia to the stories of Manu in Hinduism, and from tales recounted by the Australian Aborigines to those found in ancient Chinese texts. This universality suggests that these stories may be more than mere myths. They could be based on actual historical events that were so impactful they seared into the collective memory of multiple civilizations, passed down through generations, and adapted to local cultural and religious contexts. Scientific theories of a historical deluge. The theories about the origins of these widespread flood narratives often point to real and dramatic natural events. For instance, the end of the Ice Age around 10,000 BC brought with it dramatic changes to the Earth's landscapes and ecosystems. Melting ice caps led to significant rises in sea levels, events that could easily have inspired legends of great floods. The Black Sea Deluge hypothesis is one such example, proposing that a massive flooding event occurred when rising sea levels caused the Mediterranean Sea to breach through what is now the Bosporus, turning the freshwater Black Sea basin into a saltwater sea. The extraterrestrial hypothesis. Some hypotheses stretch the boundaries of conventional archaeological and historical analysis, such as those positing that flood myths could be linked to catastrophic events triggered by extraterrestrial impacts. The theory proposed by Heinrich Muck suggests that a meteorite or asteroid impact could have caused significant tsunamis and climatic disruptions, aligning with narratives of a sudden, overwhelming flood. While this theory is certainly dramatic, it is part of a broader attempt to find a common, extraordinary cause for the widespread distribution of flood stories. Noah's Ark in historical and religious context. The story of Noah's Ark is among the most recognized of these flood myths, deeply embedded in the religious traditions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Each tradition includes the story of a righteous man instructed by God to build an ark to save himself, his family, and a representation of the world's animals from a devastating flood. A narrative that underscores themes of divine judgment, salvation, and renewal. Recent claims about discoveries related to Noah's Ark, such as the purported finding of its remains in Turkey, continue to stir interest and debate. While these claims often lack robust scientific backing, they reflect the enduring fascination with proving the historical basis of one of the most iconic stories handed down through millennia. Conclusion. While it is uncertain whether we will ever definitively trace the flood myths back to specific historical events, the persistence of these stories highlights a universal human experience, the struggle to understand and cope with the devastating power of nature. Whether as metaphorical narratives used to convey moral lessons or as vestiges of historical events, flood myths serve as a powerful reminder of our shared heritage and the impact of natural forces on human civilization. The claimed discovery of Noah's Ark in the mountains of Ararat by a team of Chinese researchers and Noah's Ark Ministries International in 2010 has generated a great deal of excitement as well as skepticism. The announcement that remnants of what could potentially be Noah's Ark being found at an altitude of approximately 4,000 meters, coupled with claims of the wood dating back roughly 4,800 years, aligns intriguingly with the biblical timeline provided in the Book of Genesis. Analyzing the claim's material evidence, the discovery includes fragments of cypress wood and pieces of rope, materials that the biblical text specifies were used in the construction of Noah's Ark. The structure supposedly found also features compartments that resemble animal stables, suggesting a design that could house various species, ostensibly in pairs. Authenticity concerns. However, several red flags have been raised regarding the authenticity of these findings. Critics argue that the probability of wood surviving for nearly 5 millennia, especially above the tree line where conditions are harsh and unsuitable for the preservation of organic material, is exceedingly low. Moreover, the sensational nature of the claims and the lack of peer-reviewed scientific backing casts further doubt. Possible hoax. The suggestion that a local guide might have staged the discovery by hauling wood up the mountain and aging it artificially to create a tourist attraction is a serious accusation that undermines the credibility of the findings. Such a hoax, while not unprecedented in the realm of supposed archaeological discoveries, would need substantial investigation to confirm. Geophysical improbability. Scientifically, the possibility that the Ark could have landed at such a high altitude is contested by experts who point out that even in the most extreme flood scenarios, water covering the Earth to that altitude would be geophysically impossible, given the current volume of water in Earth's hydrosphere. Broader context. This discovery, whether ultimately proved true or false, taps into a wider human curiosity about ancient narratives and their potential bases in historical events. Flood myths, as discussed earlier, appear in numerous cultures worldwide, and they often reflect a collective memory of historical natural disasters, perhaps exaggerated or mythologized over generations. Conclusion: the discovery in the mountains of Ararat stirs a complex discussion that spans archaeology, theology, geography, and ethics. It prompts us to question how we evaluate historical and religious claims, the role of scientific evidence in verifying such claims, and the impact of potential hoaxes on genuine research and public perception. In the realm of biblical archaeology and the study of ancient myths, the lines between fact and faith are frequently blurred. As such, each claimed discovery like this one invites both believers and skeptics to reflect on the nature of evidence and the roots of our most enduring stories. Whether or not one believes in the biblical account of the flood, this case serves as a fascinating instance of how ancient narratives continue to influence and inspire modern exploration and debate.